In this video, we're going to demonstrate how spider dye can be used to build a plaster pool. It's very similar to that of a liner pool. The differences are obvious. We have a solid concrete floor, but the floor does extend out beyond the wall just like it does in a liner pool. Here we're using a boom pump to pour the floor. As you can see, we spaced our rebar at 18 inches on center each way. In the pouring process of the concrete, we placed our bulbed water stop into the concrete at the center section of the wall. We did that while the concrete was wet, and then we wet set our J-bars directly after that. The layout and setting your radiuses are very similar to that of a liner pool. You'll go ahead and measure 16 inches on center. The difference with the spider tie wet process for pools with plaster finish, we've modified the starter piece so that you can utilize a standard spider tie and snap it in upside down. These conversion pieces snap on so that the rest of your stack can be right side up. This allows you to use the same number of spider ties in your count as you would if you were with a liner pool. Once your spider tie stacks are all together and you've got your rebar in place, you'll tie off everything properly for the bonding requirements. Once that is done and all the rebar is tied off, you can begin with your plywood process. We are using 2 layers of 1/4 inch Luan. We don't want the end joints to land in the same spot, so we overlap the plywood by half sheet. It's a good practice to do what we call dry fitting. This is where you put all your plywood in place prior to applying any screws, maybe 1 or 2 here or there to hold it. And this allows you to make the necessary adjustments, trimming where you need to trim or adding where you need to add. And once you've got the basic shape, then you can begin the fastening process with the recommended screws. Before you put your plywood on, though, you want to make sure that your bulbed water stop is tied up every so often so that when the concrete is coming into the wall, it doesn't cause the bulb water stop to bend over. Once everything is tied off properly and braced properly, you're now ready for concrete. The nails that we use for the fastening process on the outside and in the hopper are an 1.5 inch ram set nail. This helps hold the base tight and keeps everything exactly the way we want it. Before pouring the concrete, we use a laser level to establish our heights to know where our arms may be a little high or a little low and make accommodations for it. For your infinity edge areas, you'll want to go ahead and establish the elevation of those walls. In this particular pool, we put a slight slope so that the water drains out of the pool and the edge shows very clean. You can see that angle there. The outside plywood is a little bit lower than the inside plywood. As with a liner pool, you'll go ahead and put all your sleeves in for your returns and for your suction and for your lights and so forth. Then after the forms have been pulled, you'll take a chipping hammer and chip away the concrete so the pool plaster can seal tightly around the pipes. Here we built a broad mouth skimmer opening so that it looked a little more custom, allowed us to tile into that opening for the skimmer. Now you'll notice that on this pool it has a few other features than just a pool shell. These customers wanted a Baja shelf, so we came in after the fact. We allowed 2 pieces of rebar to be installed in the forms prior to building this when we were forming the walls originally so that we could tie it to the bonding grid. Here on the vertical bars we drill holes, make sure that they're cleaned out properly with the air compressor, and use the Simpson type epoxy to epoxy the vertical bars down. We used 1/4 inch hardy backer board on the inside and 2 layers of 1/4 inch Luan on the outside and filled that Baja step with gravel. That allowed us to do a monolithic pour with the floor and the walls of that Baja step. And as well as the spa, we also put all our plumbing first and then formed up our seat so that we could pour the floor and the seat in a monolithic. Once all the main concrete structure is built, you'll want to proof all the spider tie strips by using a piece of mesh tape and an acrylic modified cement. The base coat material that you'll find in most EFA systems such as Dryvit or Pyrex works very well, so does exterior grade thin set. And just like any other pool application, once all those processes that we have mentioned to this point are done, then the rest of the pool is treated very much like any other pool would be. The pool deck and the coping would be installed, the pool plaster applied. So the only difference with the spider tie system is the way that we form and hold our plywood in shape for the concrete shell. It creates a beautiful pool with perfect radiuses and gives you options that you otherwise wouldn't be able to have for a price that's much more affordable.